Namaste, bitches. Welcome to another installment of Dumb Woke. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I mentioned in like a previous video. I talked briefly about it, about how, sometimes suffering can be a pivotal moment for us to recognize the lessons that life is trying to teach us. And I think this is something similar to that, in which I wanted to talk about, life, or the quote-unquote unconscious moments that we experience as being the most pivotal moments for growth and nurturing to take place. I'm gonna make another video talking about a conversation that I had with one of my homies, in which he said that he feels suffering is necessary for personal growth, and I had said it wasn't, but I think my mindset has changed, and now I'm kind of in a position where I feel suffering is necessary until it isn't. But I'll get into that a little bit more in a different video. In this one, what I wanted to talk about was actually a specific situation that happened to me recently, in which I got into a little bit of a conflict with a loved one of mine, and I reacted in a way in which I was very ashamed with how I reacted to the situation, because obviously if someone's upset and angry, I felt as though I shouldn't match that type of energy, but I did, and I ended up acting, kind of reacting in the same manner, and I think things were a lot more destructive than they needed to be. Although I think afterwards the conversation was constructive, but I think in the moment there was a lot of tension that was built up, and I think that was something that I carried with me, like the guilt and the shame of my actions during that period. That was something that I carried with me after the conversation had ended. But I think through that reflection, and through listening and talking to my support systems, one thing that I've recognized is those moments in which we act unconsciously, right, so to speak, or in ways in which we feel as though, well, man, I should have reacted better because I know better. Sometimes those moments are our greatest teachers, right? And I think when you approach this path of wanting to nurture yourself and heal yourself, we also have to recognize that as much as we want to be patient with others, as much as we want to be compassionate with others, that same compassion needs to be turned inward, right? And the way I like to see it is stages, right? When you first embark on this idea that I wanna explore all parts of myself, that includes even those darker parts, right? Those parts that we might be ashamed of or scared to dive into. But the way I see it is, those shadow parts of ourselves, as what some people call it, your shadow self, right? Like the aggression that might be present in us, the jealousy, the insecurities, all of those things exist as parts of ourself, right? It's not just the patience, the calmness, the peace, all of those things. There's always that other side that needs to be integrated into our daily life. And just as a shadow exists in real life, right? A shadow can't exist if there's no light, right? A shadow can only exist in the presence of light. Where there is light, there will always be a shadow, right? And I think that's the same way I see this, in our daily lives as well. And earlier on, when we choose to take responsibility for our actions, we also have to recognize that in the beginning, we were in a mindset in which we felt as though we are a victim to our life, right? Everything that happened to us was a cause of someone else's actions or some kind of external event. This thing happened to me, so that's why I'm reacting the way I am. This person said this or did this, and ray-tay-tay, that's why I'm reacting in the way I am, or in the manner that I am. But then as you begin to further explore that side of yourself, as you begin to heal those parts of yourself, the next stage that comes is you begin to take responsibility for your actions, but that responsibility sometimes gets confused with blame, right? We begin to blame ourselves. How the fuck can you do this? Or how can you react like that? If you know better, you should do better. We become our own harsh critic, right? And I think that blame, once we learn that we no longer have to be a victim to our life, the next lesson becomes that we also don't need to blame ourselves, right? The next lesson then becomes that we need to begin to nurture ourselves and show ourselves the love and the compassion that we need, that we may not have been given maybe in childhood and in our earlier years. And then from that stage, we then transcend into what I like to see as accountability, right? We can take accountability for our actions. We can learn from our reactions, and we can respond to situations rather than react from, an unconscious state of mind or from unconscious patterns. And we can learn to, tackle situations in a place where we are more present, and it's not coming from that place of, insecurity or whatever the case may be. And ultimately, I think it's also important to recognize that those shadow parts, or those darker parts of whatever you want to call it, are also necessary, right? And I think it's not about ignoring the fact that we might feel angry or ignoring the fact that we might feel jealous, but rather exploring those sides of ourselves, right? And I think the way someone put it, which I thought was very beautifully said, was that if we are angry at someone or upset with someone and we choose to bite our tongue because we're scared of the conflict, that's cowardice. If we choose to step back and refrain from saying certain things because we know that it could be a lot more destructive than constructive, that's courage, and that's emotional intelligence, right? We have to understand the harm that we're capable of just as much as we need to be aware of the light that we can also bring out in others and within ourselves. So but anger within itself is necessary. It's not a negative emotion. Anger within itself is utilized to defend yourself. It's needed to let people know when they've crossed the boundary. It's there so that we can utilize it as a manner to fuel change, right? You look at all the radical, I guess, if some people might call them radical, but the people from history who have fought for change, people like Malcolm X, who used anger as a driving force or an energy, but channeled it in a means that wasn't destructive. He channeled it in a manner that was constructive, right? And he created that change. He became a catalyst for that change. So and I think that's what it means to learn to integrate that into our daily life rather than ignoring it, because ignoring it, as we know, you ignore something for so long and it comes out to a boiling point, and I think that's what had happened. And I was very guilty. I felt very guilty. I felt very ashamed for my actions. But then I think I also recognize, that's also our ego talking. When we say, I'm better than this, I shouldn't react that way, and whatever the case is, it's like, you're not holier than thou. You're still a human being who feels anger, who feels jealousy, who feels all these things. And, I think it's about recognizing those parts and seeing what they're trying to show us, rather than, beating ourselves up for feeling certain things. And one of my favorite quotes I read, I don't remember who said it, so I apologize, but it said something along the lines of, those who annoy you are teaching you patience. Those that create anger in you are teaching you unconditional love, right? Those who abandon you are teaching you how to stand on your own 2 feet. Meaning that every single challenge or hurdle that we come across doesn't always have to be something to our detriment. Sometimes it can be our teacher, and that's what it means to let life be your teacher. Let the shadow parts of ourselves be something that are things that need to be integrated rather than be ignored. you know. Yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. And I'm gonna try to put out the next one as soon as I get some time, or as soon as I feel like, I have something to talk about. But I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys keep well. And if you guys have any thoughts, as always, any comments, feedback, things you would like to talk about, please let me know. Hit me up in the DMs, leave it in the comments. I love you. I appreciate you. And stay blessed. Peace and love, baby. Namaste, bitches. Thank you.